Well, Kevin, for early August, this ground's looking in impeccable order.
Yeah, I mean, we've had, as I said, quite a mild winter again, haven't we? To be honest with you, not a lot of rain. What bit we've had, as you can see, there's nothing laying around. So, and we've got a great growth of grass out there at the moment.
Only a couple of months before club cricket starts, so promising signs.
Yeah, well, fun enough, we sort of said that last August when we was cutting the grass and rolling the wickets, and then September came along and September, October, it did nothing but rain. But hopefully we can get away from that this year and it'll be a little bit different.
Well, on the subject of rain, we are here to talk about the Ashes, and it saved the day for England, you have to say. They're in a bit of trouble, and but rather sad it spoilt the series from that point of view.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose England looked at the fact, we've won the series, we've got the Ashes, but it wasn't exactly the way they wanted to do it. Australia came out fighting. I told you they would do. You can't just say they're not going to turn up. I mean, this game they turned up. They knew they'd got to win it to keep in the series. And I suppose if you looked at it, they dominated the game from ball one, really. And we were very lucky. They said it was going to rain, and the rain came when they said, and that was it, unfortunately.
Would have been hard for England to switch on. 2-0 up in a 5-test series. You're unlikely to lose it from there when you just need to draw. So getting their mental game into shape is probably the biggest challenge for them.
It is. I mean, they knew they'd only got to draw that game to keep the Ashes. So that was, I suppose, on the back of their mind. They don't really have to go out there and play to their best ability, as long as they get a draw, and they'll be happy at that. 2-0 up. You know Australia are going to come back now and actually try and win these next two tests. And if they can walk away with a drawn series, even though they've not got the Ashes, they'll have actually got something out of this series.
The difference, I think many people recognise, is the fact England have got a class spin bowler and Australia just simply haven't.
Yeah, there's a big difference there. But when you watch Nathan Lyon bowl in this last test, he actually got some big purchase on the ball, and it turned a lot. And Swan does the same, but he generally turns on most wickets. Swan does, but they are, I suppose, lacking that quality spinner. Australia. They've tried young Agar. I mean, you've got to give him a few years yet before he really gets into sort of the rhythm of spin bowling. But since Warren, McGill, they've not really had anybody, have they?
And they are experimenting. They give Smith a few overs, Agar, and then bring Lyon back. And you're right, he turns the ball, but they've got 6 wickets compared with Swan's 20. Yeah,
there's a big difference. I mean, Swan's Swan at the moment, isn't he? He can't do anything wrong. I mean, when he first came into this test side, I thought, we're not sure about this, but he's made the place his own, and he's only just got better and better the more tests he's played. The quality of his bowling, I mean, it speaks for itself. Where Australia's going to find a spinner, who knows? I mean, I'm sure they've got people sort of in the ranks somewhere, but it's making that decision. Who do we pick? And then we've got to stick by them. And they at the moment they're picking one person, then another person, then even Clark tries to bowl an over. Probably not working the way they want it to go at the moment.
May not be a factor. We hear that Durham might be a quickies track. Do you know anything of it?
I've played there for many years ago when it was first came onto the county scene. I don't know. I think a lot depends on what the weather does, to be honest with you. If they get nice sunny days, who knows, it could be quicker. If it's cloudy and damp up there because they've had a bit of rain around now, there's a few days with a bit of rain, who knows. But I think if it's got a bit of pace in it, then you'd like to think that we would be the better bowling attack of the two. But in saying that, if you look at Australia's bowling attack this last game, they out-bowled us.
Do you think they'll bring Finn back for that, if it has got a bit of bounce and speed?
Well, that's what they always talk about Finn for, don't they? Because if they're playing a bouncy wicket, he's the person that they want to play. He's the one that gets more bounce than anybody else. But his biggest problem is, I don't know how much he's bowling at the moment. It's all right not playing him, but is he away actually playing games where he's actually getting match practice? If he's not, and only bowling in nets, you're asking a lot of a person to come into a test and to bowl the best he can do.
One of the absurdities I've heard in the last few days is that Cook's under the microscope. He's had a couple of failures. Surely he can't be in question at all at the moment.
Well, you won't think so. He's a captain, so he's normally the first person on the sheet. But you look at Trott as well. I mean, they're talking about him at the same time. I think Australia's probably worked him out a little bit of bowling a lot straight at him. He likes it through the leg side. They've now put 2 men there, trying to stop him from there. He's got to hit the ball wider to get past them. He's falling over a bit more, and he's being done LBW. So they've worked a little bit there to work him out. Trott's another one. let's be honest, he doesn't look pretty, does he, when he's batting? He's very ungainly, but he's very successful in the way he plays. But to me, he's very susceptible early doors, especially if the ball swings back a little bit, because he gets his head wrong side of the ball at times. So again, they've managed to do him that way this time.
Part of the England success, though, has been the fact they've kept a stable batting lineup over the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. I mean, if you want to be a successful side, you need to keep the players together. I suppose that the only area that's been a bit in and out is where Peterson's not been fit to play, and they've had to bring somebody else in, and then when Peterson's fit again, he comes back in, that person has to drop back out again. But generally, the top sort of 6 players all stayed the same, which has got to be a good thing for England.
And if anyone's in doubt, I would have said Bairstow needs some runs this time out.
Yeah, he does, but you look at Joe Root as well. I mean, batting at 5 and 6, Joe Root can't stop scoring runs. You put him opening the innings, and yes, I know he's got the 100, but if you look at 2 of the 3 tests he's played in, he doesn't. I don't know if he's an opener just yet. I'm not saying we can't persevere with him, and he may well be a very good opener in time, but are we asking a lot of him at his age at the moment?
And I think the focus for both teams now will be getting some advantage morale-wise, if you like, prior to going to Australia now.
Yeah, it's going to be... These next 2 tests, I think, are going to sort of set a stall out for what we expect. Because knowing Australia is that they will come back and they will fight hard in these next 2 tests. They'll go back home and they'll sit down and really sort out what do we need to do to win the Ashes back. And I can remember quite a few years ago when they got beat very easily over here. They went back, they played 3 World Series games, won every one just to prove a point to people that they are a good side. And I'm not saying they're going to go and do that this time, but I'm sure they'll go back and sit down and reevaluate what they've got to do and what areas do they really need to work on.
The good thing about the Ashes is that, although this is a dead rubber now, they'll still turn out in numbers to watch.
Oh yeah, I mean, Ashes are the Ashes. It's the big thing. You know, we are there to try and beat Australia, and you've seen the crowds. I mean, they're sold out every day, and I can't see any difference for the last 2 tests, to be honest with you.
And they in party mode. I think we're all enjoying the costumes, and it's just getting a bigger part of the festivities every year.
It is. I mean, it doesn't matter where you go, no matter what part of the country, world you go in, there's always people in fancy dress nowadays. And of course, we've got the trumpeter. He's following everybody around. I see it at my old grand, Trent Bridge. They stopped him from going in. Believe it or not, yeah, they refused him into the ground to play his trumpet, so he stood outside and played it. But yeah, I mean, it's a spectacular now. You see the crowds and all the people in the fancy dress. Because I know at one stage, Vodafone used to do the best dressed group of people out there, and they used to get prizes for it. So who can blame them?
Whatever brings people to Test cricket, it's fine by me.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a spectacle now, and it's what people expect to see. I mean, the big thing is that the cameras, the first thing they do is pan around the crowds to see who's dressed up and who's doing what. So yeah, it's a big thing for everything now.
Because Test cricket's under a bit of scrutiny at the moment. The one innovation, I just get your opinion on it, the pink ball, the playing at night. Do you think that's a real prospect?
I think we tried that one quite a few years ago when I was playing. I can't remember if it's pink or orange we tried. To be honest, that didn't really work. At the moment, Test matches, if it's bad light, they're putting the floodlights on in the daytime now. Whether going into the night time will make it bigger crowds, more excitement, who knows? It's hard to say. I mean, we've got day-nighters for one-day cricket. That gets well, sort of patronised. But will Test matches do the same thing? I'm not quite so sure. We'll have to wait and see on that one.